For this card, I'm going to be using the Denim Bouquet Artful card kit. Now this kit is filled with 6 papers that are double-sided, so you've got 12 different designs there, all coordinating beautifully. You've got blues, pinks, and of course like a grey colour in there. You've got distressing, you've got florals, you've got scripts as well. But then you also have 35 die cuts, and these die cuts are absolutely beautiful. You can see on the back here where I've been using this pack. I've popped lots out. They fall out really beautifully. You don't need to trim any pips away to neaten them up, so they're really ideal for creating nice quick cards. So for this card, I've taken if I just fold this over and show you, I've taken a card base there and I've folded it back on itself, so one of the panels, and then what I've done is I've actually trimmed the top section away. So I've got my card, if I just turn this the right way, I've got my card that opens and closes like this, and then this panel that I cut away, what I'm going to do is just turn that round, and this is going to also fit onto the card like so. So that's the perfect fit to create that pop-up, that standout element there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cover each of these 6 panels that I've got on my card with the backing papers. Now I've chosen just 2 sheets of paper, 1 sheet of paper, sorry, but 2 different designs, because on the reverse of this beautiful blue floral sheet I've got the grey sort of damask pattern, and I'm going to use these 2 sides and not a lot else in the way of pattern paper because they work so well together. So just using either a tape runner or a wet glue, I'm just going to cover each of the panels, and as I cover these I'm going to be mixing up the colours on each side. So the centre panel for each one will be the alternate colour to what I'm using. So just here I'm using the blue, and I'll do the same for the large panel in the background here. So just using my tape runner. It's a nice and neat quick glue to use, but the weight of this paper here is absolutely perfect. It's been designed so that if you do use your wet glue a lot for sticking your mats and layers down like this, then it's not going to warp, it's not going to have that bubbling effect or that wrinkling effect, because it's a really good quality cardstock. So I'm then going to flip my paper over for this middle section to make this one a different colour. Again, as you can see on each of the panels, I am leaving a white border. And then I'm going to do the same on this, but with alternate colours. So the middle panel is going to be the blue. I'll pop that down now before I forget which way I'm doing it. So in the middle is the blue, and then the 2 outer ones will be the grey colour. Now what I need to do is I need to attach this panel to here. So the best way to do this is just to lay the cards completely flat, and you can decide now whether you want this to be down the bottom, whether you want it in the middle or somewhere else, maybe a third of the way up. It's entirely up to you. I'll probably leave it around a third of the way up. You want to glue this entire shorter panel this end down, leave the middle completely free, and then you want to glue this longer panel down only the length of this here. So the glue will be from here to here and from here to here. So we'll flip this over whilst it's on that cardstock there for measurement. I know that I need all of this gluing down. Again, you can use your glue tape if you want to. I find a wet glue is stronger in the long run, so if you've got time to allow wet glue to dry, then do so here. Oops, a little bit long there. So I'm just going to wipe up, I just went a little bit over the score line there. There we go. And now just flip this over and line it up. And if you use the edge of your card, you should get that pretty straight. So if it's straight along here, as long as you've cut it straight in a trimmer, then it should be all the way across and then straight on this end as well. And just very quickly open that up and fold it just to ensure everything's in the right place before that glue dries. So there we have a lovely shaped card so far decorated with those papers. I mean, that looks really professional already. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a main piece of decoration on this panel. Now I'm going to use for this the gorgeous die cuts that come in with this kit. So the Artful card kits have all of these different die cuts. They are absolutely beautiful. I've popped out a frame here and it has a black border. So the frame is going to sit across there, and I'm going to tuck my sentiment along there as well. So making that quite central, and then the sentiment is just peeking from behind. And then I've just got a little bit more in the way of decoration that I'll put on in a moment. So I want to attach this to this part of the card here, leaving this corner and of course this corner free from any adhesive. So if I just bring that down, I know where I need to put my tape, and I'm going to use a foam tape just to lift it off ever so slightly. And this is really strong, so you won't need a lot of it. So just my base corner here as well, and then a little bit in the middle. Now if it's easier for you, maybe mark with a pencil before you go ahead and do this whereabouts you want to have your tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this and make sure if I hold this in place, so that's around the center, and I'm just going to look underneath and make sure there's no tape anywhere in there that will be showing that where I don't want it to be, and that's absolutely fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this where I want it to be, because the tape is actually going to hold that section in, that sentiment in there. So just move everything to where it needs to be. As long as you've got a good sturdy card base, that should sit there quite nicely on its own without being held. And then remove the backing from the foam tape and place this down over the top of that sentiment, and that should all hold in nicely. So just pinching those corners, make sure everything's central before you lower it down. There. Perfect. Just give that a squeeze, and then if you want to, you can take something like a pokey tool and just lift up the corners of this banner here, give it a little more shape, and the same can be done here. Gives it a bit of shape without adding too much dimension, but it kind of brings it to life a little bit there. Now to finish this off, I've done some fussy cutting. There are some papers, as you can see there's one here in this kit that have some beautiful flowers that are perfect for cutting out. So I've cut 3 elements out. I've cut quite a large one here. I've also cut a slightly smaller one, and then I've cut a mid-size one, and they're going to be positioned as you've just seen me place them there. So 1 on the end, 2 on the frame, and that will finish that off beautifully. So now it's entirely up to you how you attach these. Again, I really do like to use a foam tape if I can. Adds a bit of dimension, lifts everything up, adds those layers, those drop shadows, and that interest as well. So if you want to, you can be shaping these. You can be using your, maybe you've got flower shaping tools and you can roll them. Otherwise, you can just use your pokey tool, just avoiding the wording on there, making sure you can still read the wording clearly. Still got those banners. Lift things up, give them a bit of shape. This one's a little bit harder because we've got the very thin stem on it. So I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape just over the main body of the flower head there, and then I'm going to use a wet glue on the stem just to ensure that I get this stuck really well. There. I'm going to tuck that in, so almost as if it's coming out from the frame, just here and round to there. So those leaves have some glue on, and that has the tape that way. Don't want to overlap too much. That there we go. So there we've got another beautiful card made purely from that Artful card kit with just some adhesive and of course a white card blank added in.